So welcome to the Core Clearing Breathwork workshop. This is Nicholas D. Costella from the Australian Breathwork College. I'm delighted to have you here. And this webinar is actually a workshop. So my intention is for it both to be transformational, and I'm going to map out in a simple way some of the elements that we use in our heart-centered approach to breathwork. And then we're going to go through a breathwork session, which will be a group one. So it's a little general, different to doing one-on-one sessions. And then I'm going to talk about the breathwork coach training for those who want to become a practitioner and bring this beautiful modality to the world. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to sharing the session with you. I like my sessions to be interactive because it keeps you engaged, and that way you get more out of it rather than kind of just watching something passive on the screen. I've got quite a lot to present, and so if at any time you're feeling like, oh, this is a lot to take in, just take a breath and then let it go, because I promise I'll send you a link to the recording, and so you don't have to remember it all. It might be just an immersion, and if a couple of things stick, well, that means you're ahead. We'll probably go for an hour and a half to 2 hours, I expect. It goes a little longer when we actually do the breathing process in the webinar. So that's where we're heading. So we've already had a bit of an introduction, and I gather that quite a few people are here to find out about the coach training and to experience the core clearing breathwork. So just in the chat though, who's here primarily just for your personal growth? Is anybody just coming to experience the breathwork so that you can have a shift in the session? The last time we ran this program, most of the people were just here because they want to have a shift, and that's perfectly fine. But it just, I'm curious to know who's here for your personal growth, feeling stuck or blocked or anxious or lost, or maybe have a health condition. So nobody's in the chat, or they're still revisiting. Jeffrey, yeah, thank you. Good to have you turning up. And who's here looking for meaning and purpose in your life and interested to find out and experience the Core Clearing Breathwork Coach training? So in the chat, just put me or yes or hey, or thumbs up, something like that. Yeah, great. Fantastic. Thanks, Vivian. Daisy's a yes. Great. Just give you a moment to get to the keyboard. Pull a thumbs up. Beautiful. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Great. So I think it's fair to say, well, who is this dude anyway? Some of you know me, and maybe some might not know me, might not have met me yet. So my name is Nicholas D. Costella, and I've been a distance runner pretty much all of my life. I was third of 7 kids in my family, and it was always a race to get to the dinner table. And I think that's where it started. I'm 61 now and still pounding out the pavement, still pretty fit and healthy. This was me in a pre-COVID race a couple of years ago, 5K. I ran 47th out of about 300 people. So I was pretty chuffed about that. And I'm fit and healthy, and the photo takes me with both feet off the ground, so that's pretty cool. I'm very blessed to share my life with my beautiful wife, Susan, who has also a passion for breathwork and personal growth and being at our best and living life fully. And so together we share a very connected and passionately rich relationship that has continued to deepen over the 20 plus years that we've been married, and we've lived a fabulous life, and we both put a lot of work into creating this life, but it's all been focused around breathwork and helping people to grow and develop. We're also very, very blessed to have 2 fabulous sons, Charlie on the left and Alex on the right. That Charlie's 20 and Alex is 18, and they are developing into just really brilliant, inspiring, beautiful young men, and such a delight to have in our world and give so much back to me and to Susan and enrich our life. We're very blessed. We live in the middle of a rainforest on the outskirts of Melbourne. It snows here every few years. That's a picture of a house with the snow there. And we have a healing center in the city in Clifton Hill where we do breathwork sessions down there. We live on a retreat center, so we have 2 houses, workshop, 5 cabins, shower block. It's all decked out for us here. It was a gift from Spirit, just sitting here on the market for 4 months about 15 years ago. And so people come to our workshops. Our main workshop's called Passionately Alive, and it's a 3.5-day residential intensive. And I've been running those workshops since 1996 was the first one. We've run 5 to 10 of them a year. So we've probably run about 200 of those workshops. As I said before, we live in the middle of a forest, which is like just beyond my wildest dreams. I walk around here still going, how did I manage to get here? And feeling really, really blessed. I spend a lot of my time giving presentations. This is me at the Australasian Integrative Medical Association's National Conference a few years ago, talking about breathwork. And really what we're doing tonight is not just about healing emotional blocks. It's really about heart opening. And that's really about coming back into relationship with ourselves, with each other, and with the planet. And as you probably know, breathwork is the flavor of the month at the moment. And there's a reason for that. And that is because breathwork is the opportunity to reconnect and come back into relationship with ourselves, each other, and the planet. And that is what I believe we really need to heal the planet, to heal our cultural splits. And I think that those pains that we're seeing personally, socially, globally are all actually birthing pains that are pushing us to wake up to a new humanity where we realize that we are all interconnected. And so breathwork is the perfect modality to help us to connect from our head to our heart. But my life hasn't always been so fabulous as it is now. I was sitting in the front passenger seat of this car in '85, a head-on car accident down in the city, in the outskirts of Canberra, halfway down to the coast. I was on scholarship at the Australian Institute of Sport at that time. I represented Australia in 4 World Championships in my day. But this was a bit of a shock and turned my life upside down, really. I started to suffer from anxiety, and that led into chronic fatigue, and that led into struggling in my training, and a real dark night of the soul, a real crisis in my life. And I've also grown through an architectural career. In '92, I stopped working as an architect and started working full-time in breathwork in what was known back then as rebirthing. And my mum thought that I'd gone to the devil, sent the parish priest around to see what was going on. I got the tick of approval and all turned out very, very well from there. But that was a very dark, probably my lowest point in my life. And I went looking for answers in traditional areas, didn't find anything. And then in 1988, and this is me in the front here in Canberra, I had my big awakening. And my big awakening was that I realized that success and happiness are actually an inside-out game. And I was doing all the right training. I was training 200 kilometers a week, twice a day, 365 days a year, but I wasn't getting the results that I really wanted. And then when I attended my first personal growth workshop back then, I learned that life is precious and that we have to make the best of it, that I learned how to heal my body, and I started to run faster on less training. That got the interest of all my competitive athletic friends, and most of them did the same workshop that I did back then. And then I got involved in taking the follow-on classes from that, and that's how I ended up here today. Represented Australia in 4 World Championships. I ran 2 hours 15 for the marathon. So I was really performing at an elite level back then. I found my purpose on earth with breathwork, really. And now 30 years ago, I started working as a breathwork practitioner. I've done breathwork full-time and only breathwork since those days. And We've been very blessed to create a beautiful heart-centered community now. Many people have been around for 20, 25, 30 years, still plug into our community and come to events that we run to reconnect with us and their heart and to continue to grow. So I've been very blessed to create my dream life, doing what I love with marriage and freedom lifestyle, living in the forest. So even though things turned upside down, they actually came out the right side up. This is a couple of my friends here, some photos from some of the workshops that we run. Most of our workshops are pretty small. They're like 10 to 15 people. And we kind of like it like that. My passion is connecting to people and meeting people and then journeying with them. So many of the people in these photos are still with us. And Daisy, you probably might recognize the lady up the top there. That's Fran, who's in the Core Clearing trading with you today. So I've been around the world a few times running programs, and I've done shitloads of breath work before it became popular. And so, you know, Susan and I have done the hard yards, and we really have created a life that we love using breath work. And my passion is to help other people to do the same. So in this session, we're going to cover some heart breathing, some simple practice that you can use. I'm going to talk about the heart-centered principles for core clearing that we use, and then we're going to go through the core clearing process. And then after that, I'm going to talk about the 9 steps that I believe you need to go through to become a thriving breathwork coach. And if you're interested in doing the certification, I'm going to map out the ingredients of that so that you can really do what you love and love your life. So let's just talk briefly about the breath. And we like to think of the breath as a connection to the heart. And the thing that makes any breathing powerful is that we're bringing attention to the breath. So there's a whole plethora of breathwork styles now, from Brutako minimal breathing to holotropic, deep and expansive rhythmic dynamic breathing. So you have a whole spectrum of different breathing processes. Sometimes they look opposite. How come they all have an effect? And the reason is because the breath brings us back into relationship with ourselves, and it brings us into the present. So no matter what breathing style you're focusing on, when you're focusing on the breath, it's actually anchoring you into the present. And I believe that the present moment has the potential to be heaven or hell, depending upon how we're dealing with it. But the beauty of the breath is that it brings us into the present moment. It connects us. The breath also energizes the body. So when we're stressed or tense, we hold our breath, and that gets us uptight and lowers the energy in the body, makes it easier to stay in control. And because we live in a culture that's emotionally repressive, most of us have been training our breath to be repressed all of our life, holding on and just slowly kind of withering in our energy and diminishing our life. And the third powerful aspect of the breath is that it creates flow. It creates the current of change or transformation. And in our breath work, we say the breath does all the work. The breath is the catalyst for the transformation. And so basically, when we're holding our breath, we're locking up and we're stuck in that. And when we're connecting our breath so that it's flowing, so too is the energy in our body. And when that happens, there's a natural tendency towards health, healing, happiness, and love, which we're going to come back to later. So the 3 dimensions of the heart breathing that we practice in the core clearing breathwork, and there are different styles, but this is the main one that anchors everything in. The first aspect is that it's a deep breath. So we breathe down to the belly, and that's like really powerful for activating that vagus nerve and the parasympathetic relax and digest nervous system. And we bring the breath up into the chest, into the heart. So you might like to just practice that now. So just put one hand on your chest and the other hand on your belly, and see if you can take a breath down to your belly and let your belly flop out, which is very countercultural these days. I've got a good belly and it's taken a while to work on it. So see if you can breathe in and relax your belly. And your diaphragm just kind of pushes the belly out. And then in the same breath, bring the breath up to your chest. Not forced, but a deep breath. So breathing in through the nose or the mouth is fine. Belly, chest. Feel that sense of expansion without forcing it. Just feel a kind of a natural stretch there. Okay, so I trust that you got that. The second aspect of the heart breathing is that the inhalation is active and the exhalation is relaxed. So the drawing the breath in, when we breathe in, we commit to another 5 minutes on earth. So just be aware of that active part of the inhale. So you draw the breath in down to your belly and up to your chest. And then there's natural positive pressure in your lungs that when you relax, the air just falls out again. So see if you can become aware of that dynamic of the active inhale and the passive exhale. When you breathe in, you become present, you energize, you oxygenate your body. And when you breathe out, you let go, surrender, release, right? So you have this nice dynamic of strong and empowered and open and flowing. So see if you can just focus on that for a moment. Belly, chest, and let go. Awesome. And then the third aspect of the heart breathing in our style is that it's continuous, it's without pausing. And so it's a bit like waves on the beach flowing in and out. So just see if you can become aware of that for a moment, connecting your breath in. You can still breathe slowly and out. Awesome. We actually practiced this already in this session now, and so your stress level is going to be different, but let's just throw into the chat from 1 to 10 where your stress level is in this moment, and then I'm going to guide you through this for 60 seconds, and we're going to check in again. So love to hear 1 being totally chilled out and relaxed, and 10 being, you know, freaked out of your tree. So just pick a number and throw it in there. Laura's a 3, Daisy's a 5. Awesome. Yeah, Jeffrey's a 6, Vivian's a 4, Susie's a 5. Great, thanks guys for playing along. So let's just close eyes for a second and I'll just guide you in this for 60 seconds. Just bring your attention to your breath and drawing the breath gently in, down to your belly and up to your chest. Expanding and then letting go. Just let the air fall out, no effort. And then you'll feel a natural impulse to draw the breath in again, down to your belly, up to your chest, expanding and breathing out and letting go. That's the way. And then bringing your awareness to your breath, feeling that impulse to draw the breath in, belly, chest, expanding, and then breathing out and just let the air fall out, relax. Beautiful. Drawing the breath in and out in your own rhythm. Awesome. Okay, so let your eyes open now. And with your eyes open, take another breath into your body and just check that stress level from 1 to 10. And let's throw that in the chat and see where you're at now. So I love to hear. And if you can remember what it was before, put the 1 before and then where you are now. So go for it. It's in the chat there. Daisy's gone from 5 to 4, Laura's 2, to 2, or Lara was 3. I'm not sure, you were 3 at the start and 2.2 now, I gather. Yeah, Daisy's gone from 5 to 4, Vivian from 4 till 2. Great. Susie's gone from 5 till 2. Paula's was 4 till 2 to 3, so 25%. Mary's from 1 to 0. You're still alive there, Mary. And Amy's 6 to 4. Beautiful. Thanks, guys, for playing along with this. And the point that I want to make about that is we did that for 60 seconds. I have a clock in front of me with a big sweep hand, and most people have got 25 to 50% reduction in their stress level within 1 minute. And all we really did was just connected to the breath. We just brought the attention to the breath. And so that could be your big takeaway from this session is when I'm stressed in my day, I'm going to take 60 seconds just to connect to my breath and lower that down 25 to 50%. So that's awesome. So I'm planting that in there as a little bit of a seed that we're going to come back to when we do the core clearing principles, the core clearing workshop, the meditation, and all these other principles the same. So I'm just laying the foundations now for when we do the session in a little while. So about 10 years ago, I was doing a lot of life coaching. I was life coaching for a friend of mine who trains life coaches. So I was life coaching life coaches. I was a master coach. And up until that time, I'd been doing lying down on the floor breath work, deep dynamic breathing. And now I'm coaching people on the phone, and I need to help them to have a breakthrough in their life. So over time, I developed this gentle method of connecting the breath and using awareness, emotional intelligence, heart intelligence to help people to identify and clear the subconscious blocks that were holding them back so they could move forward. And then I formalized that into the core clearing breathwork process. And the thing that I realized when I was coaching is that the people that I was coaching were getting stuck by trying to avoid doing what was going to activate their subconscious unprocessed emotions. Right? And I had a chat today to a woman who shared with me that she had everything in place to start her coaching business, but just couldn't press the go button. And, as we chatted, she unpacked a little bit more that she'd done some work on this, and she realized that there was a fear of failing if she pushed that go button and put herself out there, that she might fail. And also that there was some resistance that she was getting from her mum, who thought that she should be a full-time mum and not be working. And so really, my suspicion, my intuition is that there was probably some feelings there about linked into the relationship with her mom, that she was protecting that relationship by not doing any coaching. And whatever that feeling was, I don't know. We didn't actually process it, but it was a really interesting conversation. And what I've discovered over time is that when we're procrastinating, we're actually protecting ourselves from the potentiality of activating something that's in our subconscious that's unprocessed. So for instance, I was coaching this guy and he wasn't doing any marketing, even though he'd spent $25,000 on his coaching business, and he was feeling really bad about it. And so we did a core clearing process, and almost instantly when he went inside and dropped under all the stories about procrastinating, he realized that he was angry. And he was angry at the pro bono clients that he had when he was doing his training who didn't do what he told them to do. And so when he realized that, he realized he actually didn't want more clients because he didn't want people ignoring him, because he was still carrying that anger unresolved from the past. And that's a simple example of the power of doing the core clearing breath work. We get to go inside and realize what's the real cause for how we're acting in our life, whether we're procrastinating or whether we're overreacting or whether we're getting into our addictions. We can access that subconscious material through the breath and awareness. And I'm going to show you how to do that as we go. So the saying that we have around here is the trigger is not the cause. So usually when we're getting upset about things in our life, we're not mostly upset about what's actually happened. It's actually that the emotions are linking us to some past trauma that we've got unresolved. And an example of that, which we can all relate to, imagine you're just sitting there at home feeling pretty relaxed and chilled, and your partner comes in and they're clearly angry. They slam the door and they thump the floor, and you can see it a little bit red-faced. It's easy for us to get triggered in that, and our emotional trauma gets activated, and in the moment we start feeling really small, and we regress back to our childhood state where we were less powerful, we feel powerless, and subconsciously can start to project onto our partner that they are like our angry parent and we are like the child, and we might feel powerless and weak and frightened, go quiet and withdraw, or we could flick the other way and throw a tantrum. And so with the core clearing process, we're always looking for what's the thread that's taking us back. And the thread that links the present to the past trauma is our emotions. And so when people tune into the emotion and they start to breathe into it and connect to it, very often a whole string of memories that link to the same emotion will come to the surface. And then using the breath work and a couple of other things that we use, I'm going to share some of those with you, we help people to complete that trauma in a very gentle and nurturing way. So one of the fundamental principles that underpins all of my work is that there's a natural tendency in life to health, wholeness, happiness, and balance and harmony when we are present, right? So when we come into relationship and we start to connect and feel our body and the emotion, there's a natural process that gets initiated towards health and happiness and wholeness. And so we call that presence. And presence is the power that we access for transformation. And this is a very different way of operating than operating from willpower and agenda and trying to fix things or get somewhere. So with the core clearing process, the goal is to be in the present. The goal is to connect to what is, and then what happens from that is the transformation, the healing happens. So a way of saying this is that change happens when we experience what is. Once again, don't try and remember all of this. Promise I'll send you the recording, but just get the essence, which is that the emotional trauma that we all carry in our body does not change by changing our head, by changing our beliefs or our attitudes or whatever. The trauma is still in the body as emotion, as energy, and that energy starts to heal, to complete itself because it's initiated, but it just wants to go through a full cycle to peace when we feel it, when we come into relationship. So we say change happens when we experience what is. And so the goal is not to get somewhere. The goal is to get here. Okay, the goal is to connect to what's happening now. And I like to call that process that we're talking about here basic goodness or grace. Grace being blessed or loved by life, that there's this fundamental goodness in life, there's this fundamental tendency towards health and wholeness and happiness, that when you cut your finger, you know, you don't need to say to your finger, quick, get some white blood cells down there. Instead, your body instantly starts to go into a healing state. And that happens naturally. And the truth is, for all of us, is that we actually hold ourselves back from healing and happiness and well-being by getting scared and locking down and holding on. And so breathwork is largely about letting go and trusting in this basic goodness. So the core clearing process itself, I'm going to map out the process we go through, has effectively 3 different levels or dimensions to it. And the first one, I'm going to go through each of these briefly, is thinking. And we start with thinking because that's where most of us live, is we live in our head. We've been trained to live in our head and we go story, story, story. And so the first big shift is to shift out of thinking and drop into the feelings. So the motto that we have for core clearing is go deeper. And the paradigm that we use for core clearing is that the feelings come first and the thoughts come second. And that's a very different approach to most of our Western culture, which is based on thinking and sees feelings as a product of thoughts. And it's true that what we think about does create emotion, and also every thought that we have is preceded by a feeling. And so with the core clearing, instead of trying to change what we call negative thinking, we just drop into the feeling that's underneath it, process that, and then once we come home to peace, then, we don't have to work on changing the thoughts. And then there's a deeper level of feeling that's under emotion, which is our heart state that I'm going to map out for you in a second. So there's thinking and there's feeling. They're the only two ways that human beings operate. So you're either thinking, and there'll be a fair bit of thinking going on here because I'm talking and you're understanding and thinking about all that, and that's fine. And then there's feeling when we stop and we take a breath, what's happening in our experience. Right? So most of us, like Snoopy here, run all these stories in our head, and the more disassociated we are from our body, the more real the stories look and the more thrown around in our life we get, which is why the level of anxiety is going through the roof in the world because of all of the time that we spend on computers and in cyberspace and not in physical space. We're becoming more and more abstracted and less present and connected in our bodies and grounded in this moment. And the problem with that is when it's extreme is that we lose touch with what's real and we start to create all this mind-generated emotion from the stories that we're running, and we lose track of the fact, I'm actually quite okay here. I'm lying in bed, it's dark, I'm warm, I'm snug, I'm safe, and everything's okay. So the big shift that we start with is to shift from the stories to the experience, to shift from the thoughts to the feelings. And so the beautiful thing about core clearing is we're all the time validating everything. We're not making anything wrong, and we're also not trying to change anything. So how do we deal with racing negative mindset? Well, we just take a breath. And we go, what's the feeling that's giving rise to these thoughts, right? So we're not opposing them. We're not trying to change them. We're just going to go deeper than them and take a breath in there. So the shift is from thinking to feeling. And so let's talk a little bit about feeling. Now, the first port of call when you come to your feelings is your physical body. And this body links us to the present moment. And the language of your body is sensations. And so in our trainings, we map out in detail the sensation literacy, okay? So learning to read our body gives us fabulous feedback about what's really going on and links us into the potential to have breakthroughs and shifts and connect to what's really true. So sensations have two main aspects. They have a location. So if you just take a breath into your body right now, just notice and put in the chat, if you're handy to the chat, where in your body does your awareness go? When I do, it definitely goes to my head right now mostly. I feel a little tightness on my shoulders as well. But let me know in the chat, where in your body does your attention just naturally go when you take a breath into it right now? Thanks, Jeffrey, in the chest. Mary's in the head. Great. Okay, so that's the first port of call of coming into relationship with this experience that's rising in the present moment. Daisy's in the chest. Thank you. Yeah, good. And you feel when you breathe. So you need to breathe to get this. Great. Vivian's in the neck and upper spine. Paula's in the chest. Lara's got something in the stomach, a little bit on the right side. Yes, excellent. Thank you, everybody, for engaging. And so we have location. And then the second aspect is we have qualities, sensations. Are they warm or cool, heavy or light, tight or loose, pulsing or steady, sharp or dull? Just in the chat, take another breath in there in your body. Susie's got a sharp feeling in the back of her shoulder blade on the left side. So we have location and we have qualities, and we're going to use this in the core clearing process that I'm going to take you through. So see if you can find a quality. Don't get too hung up about it, whether it's right or not. Does it feel sharp or dull? Is it warm or cool? Daisy's got a sense of pressure. Yep, that's it. Jeffrey's got a sense of warmth there, and Vivian, something stuck, some sense of block or stuck, tight maybe. Yeah, thank you, well done, great. Anyone who's still going, just breathe in there. Yeah, Paula's got full and warm. Oh, that's lovely. Good on you, Paula. So you also in the chest, full and warm. That's beautiful. I'd be breathing into that one, that's for sure. Mary's got some tingling, which is associated with energy flowing. It's a great feedback. Well done, everybody. Lara's got some prickling at the right rib and tightness in the chest. Yeah, so some kind of discomfort there. Amy's a deep throb of anger in the base of my chest. Wow, that's really powerful. Good on you, Amy, breathing into that. And what we're doing all the time with all of our experiences, we're validating it. We're going, there's a good reason for this. Whether or not we understand it is secondary. The thing is that what's coming up is coming up. And when we allow ourselves to experience it, the healing happens from that basic goodness principle that I mentioned before, that all of our emotions are important. So the first level of connection is sensations. And then what happens is that there's another level down, which is emotions. And emotions are energy, right? So emotions are energy. So they're flowing. And so they're slightly different to sensations, but they're linked to the sensations. When you breathe into them, the physical sensations are a bit gross, they're rough and coarse. And then there's a more subtle level of the energy, and the energy have a sense of movement or flow about it. So you might feel it pulling in, expanding out, going up or down or swirling around. There's energy there. And what's really important in this work is validating our emotions, that giving ourselves permission to feel what we feel when we've grown up in a culture that teaches you to cheer up when you're sad, calm down when you're angry, and don't be scared when you're in fear. So we're constantly being trained that emotions are not real and you can just change your mind and get over them. But in fact, they don't just go away, they keep coming back until we feel them. And in fact, what we've discovered is emotions actually have a good role in our life. Surprise, surprise, after 1 million years of evolution, our anger has a good purpose, getting us to stand up and speak up for ourselves and to guide us, and fear telling us to take care and we could be in potential danger, and sadness telling us there's something that we need to let go of here, right? So they all have a good purpose. So, but as I said, you know, we grow up in this repressive culture emotionally, and those repressed emotions don't go away. They actually drive us. I'll put my pink donut on here because this is one of my kryptonites. Is some reason I go for that. I'll see happiness in a pink donut. So Carl Jung said all addictions are substitutes for genuine feelings. That means that when you're not feeling your feelings, they are driving you. Right? So we say what you don't feel runs you, gives rise to restlessness, anxiety, stress, reactivity, like blowing up, being constantly busy, being doing, excessive thinking, not being able to be in stillness and peace, right? And that's the emotional energy that doesn't disappear, it just goes in the back seat and then runs us and drives us in our life. So tonight's a bit of a snapshot. And as I said, you can come back to the recording. So I'm not going to go into this in a lot of detail. We map it out a lot more detail as we go through the trainings. But basically, there's 6 primary emotions, 2 in the chest, 2 in the solar plexus, and 2 in the belly. In the chest, we have joy and sadness. Joy is about getting something that we want, like the pink donut, and sadness is about losing something that we value. Sadness about loss and joy about gain. Excitement about potential gain. Your footy team's looking like they're going to win the grand final and you get excited, and then its bed buddy is fear, and suddenly your team gets lead legs and it looks like they're going to lose the grand final, and the excitement turns to fear. Then the other 2 are passion in the guts, in the belly, and anger. This is just centrally located, and you can have other areas as well and other variations of these emotions like frightened, nervous, anxious, terrified, scared, or angry, frustrated, annoyed, irritated, impatient, stuff like that. So, but it helps just to get an idea of what these emotions are when we're starting to get some clarity about our experience, which we call emotional literacy. And that's all about recognizing the emotion we're feeling, understanding its good purpose, and being able to communicate it to others so that they can understand what we're experiencing. So we work with that emotional level. And that's where most people get stuck, because we live in this emotionally repressive culture. And there's a deeper level of being than our emotions. And that deeper level of being is what we call our heart. You could call it heart, essence, spirit, soul, possibly. And so the qualities of peace, love, happiness are different to emotions because they're not dependent on something outside of us. They spontaneously arise within us when we're meditating, say, when we're connecting inside. And so in our work, the ultimate goal is to connect to that heart intelligence and to live from it. And we have a model that we work with of the heart qualities and then practices that cultivate those heart qualities. So a heart quality is ease or flow, and the practice is effortless flow, not pushing and not holding back, like the dancer, being in the dance. Happiness is a heart quality, and it's different to joy, which is getting what we want. Happiness is like happy for no good reason, and the practice is savoring the moment, being in this present moment and finding where the blessings are. Peace is a heart quality, and the practice is acceptance. So peace is nurtured through acceptance, and the practice for love is compassion, caring for suffering. The heart quality of connection arises in presence and openness. Gentleness arises in mercy or forgiveness, dropping punishment. Spaciousness, which means awe or wonder, arises in letting go of trying to understand and opening to mystery. The heart quality of wealth or abundance arises through the practice of generosity, and strength or courage arises through what the Buddhists call Tonglen, what we call welcoming in. Learning to stay relaxed and open in discomfort is a hallmark of every successful mum, dad, Olympic athlete, business person. Anybody who wants to achieve anything is going to have to face up to dealing with uncomfortable feelings that are going to arise along the journey. And this practice of Tonglen is a life-transforming one that we work with breathwork all the time, because one definition of breathwork is learning to stay relaxed and open in increasing levels of intensity. Another heart quality is gratitude, a really, really powerful one. And the practice for that is appreciation and praise. And then the last one that we've got here is enthusiasm. And the heart practice, if you're looking for enthusiasm, it comes up when you're following your heart. So we actually put all this together in the core clearing process, these 3 levels that we've gone through. And I'm going to guide you through this in a second. And so when we do, you need to have an issue. So I want you to pick an issue from your life. If you're short on one, I can give you one. I've got plenty. And so what we do with the issue is we just start off where we are, which is usually all the stories that we've got about having the issue. Like, after all the personal growth that I've done, I'm too sensitive, I'm too emotional, I shouldn't be so upset about this, I'm never going to get there, nothing ever works for me, there's something wrong with me. All those things are just stories that have become beliefs that we reinforce. And so what we do in the core clearing, when I'm going to guide you through it in a second, is we witness the thoughts. We're talking about that at the start. So rather than arguing with them, we just witness them as thoughts, and then we shift into what's underneath them. What's the emotion that's giving rise to those stories? And so the second level is we feel down through the layers of sensation and emotion. We keep breathing in there, and I'm going to guide you in this so you don't have to remember it. And we cycle down through the layers of emotion. And sometimes you might start off feeling a bit numb, say, and then find, oh, I'm carrying some fear, and then breathe into that and find, oh, I'm actually angry under the fear, or I'm sad under the fear, and I've been holding it together. I've been scared of losing it. So, so wherever it goes is wherever it goes. And we just keep breathing in there and connecting to the feeling and knowing that the healing is in the feeling, that change happens when we experience what is. And so the process will just unfold. You don't have to do anything. Your focus is just connecting to the experiences rising in the present moment. And at some point, there'll be a shift. The shift just pops, and you get into what we call presence, which is characterized by stillness, calmness, emptiness. And that place of presence, you are now in your heart space. And you can ask your heart for guidance and set an intention from that. So the current scientific research is showing that your heart is actually intelligent. It has brain neurons in your heart. It processes information. In fact, it seems as though the heart informs the brain more than the other way around. And so your heart is a place where you can go to for wisdom and guidance, because you're coming from love in your heart. In your head, you're usually coming from separation. So once we're connected in our heart, we can actually get guidance on the issue that we started with. So the way that we look at life is that we get challenged in life to grow spiritually. We get challenged to develop our soul. And so the challenges are not problems. They are actually opportunities for us to grow, for us to develop compassion, for us to develop courage, generosity, gratitude. These challenges in our life, when we can master them, actually become opportunities for us to grow spiritually. And so what we do at this level in the process is we're asking our heart for the guidance on what's the opportunity here for me to grow, using those, how many did I have? About 12 heart qualities. And I'm going to reference those to you in the session when you go down there. And then we're going to put it together, the heart quality that you're being called to develop in this situation, into this intention. I consent to live in the presence of, let's say, peace, and practicing acceptance. Now, you don't have to remember all the practices for each heart quality. I will go through them, and you just listen to your heart when you're in that space and pick out the one that resonates for you in this moment. So how this looks is a bit like a tiramisu. And I had a session once with a lady that was a breathwork, no, she was just a coach. She wasn't a breathworker, she was a business coach. And she was stuck. And when she went inside, the instant thought came up, I'm a bad mom for being at work and not being with my kids. So she has some shame about that. And so we breathed into that. And she found that there was some fear under that. When she breathed into the fear, strangely enough, it came up as fear of losing loved ones. Well, losing her kids. And when she breathed into that, the grief of the loss of her grandmother the year before came up. She had this grief that she was carrying that she was not really aware of. And so she cried a bit and felt through that. And then when she connected into her heart again, she felt love for her grandmother, and she realized that she's still connected to her grandmother, even though she's not on earth anymore in a physical body. And she realized that we're connected to the people that we love across space and time. And so that when she's at work, she's still connected to her kids. And so there was a beautiful poetry in the whole way the process unfolded. And I had very little to do with it. It just followed its own journey. So how does that all sound? You ready to jump in and do a core clearing session? In the chat, I'd love to hear a hearty ho, a rowdy yes, a yippee-yay. Everybody pretty good.
Oh.
There's a ho from Jeffrey. Fantastic. Thank you. Great. A rowdy yes. Beautiful. So fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for your enthusiasm. Beautiful, lovely. So the first thing you need is a problem. So take a moment. It could be big or small, could be just today, or could be a long-term one. And, you know, if you get any kind of a shift, then you've moved forward in this. So the second thing I would say, I can see my internet is giving me a weird signal there. The second thing that I would say is let go of any expectations and just open up your mind and your heart and surrender to the process, and let's see what happens. Let's take this kind of lightly. I'm just going to free rein it here, but when you do the core clearing coach training, if you decide to go ahead and do that, you actually get a script that guides you through this, but I'm just going to free run it here. So I take a breath, you take a breath, and just forget everything I just told you and come in the present. Take a breath in your body. Don't try and hold on to it. You can listen to the recording and remember that's all that stuff before. It's gone in there, so relax about it. So let your eyes close gently and bring yourself into the present moment. And just take a breath in and out. Don't try and force your breath in any particular way. Just tune into your breath as a way of starting to come into the present and call to mind an issue that's a challenge in your life, a problem. Could be, you know, worried about money, worried about your job, having a conflict with somebody, a self-esteem issue, confidence, a conflict that you're carrying, an old grudge, anything at all that's been troubling you. And this process works best if you can get a specific example of it. So if it's a confidence thing, when is confidence an issue? Is it at work? Is it in relationships? Is it when you go out socially? Just call to mind an actual situation where you felt this issue. Is it when you get the bills, you open up the letters or your emails these days? Just take a moment to think about this little piece that's been stressing you and causing you anxiety and pain and spoiling your happiness. Maybe it's a struggle, been frustrating. And see if you can get an image in your mind of when this happens. Is it in the daytime or nighttime? Is there anyone else there? Are you inside or outside? Where actually are you? Just really, I want you to connect to the issue and really feel it. And as you're connecting to it, become aware of the stories that you tell yourself about having this issue. That I'm weak, that I'm no good, that I'm unlovable, that I'm alone, that I have to fight to survive, that there's something wrong with me, that I'm not good enough, that I should be over this now, too sensitive, give too much. Just be aware of all the stories that go through your mind when you focus on this issue. And be aware how those stories, when it's happening, seem so real. They seem like the truth. But they're actually just stories. They're just electrical impulses going through your brain. And now, as you're calling them to awareness, be aware of witnessing them. Be aware of observing them. There is some part of you that is watching these stories. That's not the stories. And that is your awareness. And as soon as you become aware of witnessing the stories, you're no longer in the story. It's a bit like this, when you're in the story, you're in the river of stories. And when you're witnessing, you step out of the river on the bank and you watch the stories. And just see if you can get a sense of observing the thoughts that go through your mind around having this issue. And take a breath into your belly and up to your chest and let go. And another breath into your belly and up to your chest, connecting your breath, focusing on this issue and letting go and feeling inside your body as you're connecting your breath, expanding and letting go. What happens in your body when you focus on this issue? Where does your awareness go? You feel heavy, tight, tense, some sense of pressure maybe, breathing into your body, up to your chest, and then let go, connecting your breath in and out so that you become present in your body, so that you energize, so that you can feel the feelings. Maybe you feel numb or frozen. If that's the case, just go with that. That's important. Breathing into it, keeping in mind the issue that you're dealing with, and noticing what's happening in your physical body. Where are the sensations? And what qualities do the sensations have? That's the way, focusing on that part of your body that's calling for attention and breathing in there. And as you're tuning into the sensations, be aware of the emotion that's linked to those sensations. You feel frightened, nervous, frustrated, sad, confused. Breathing in there and see if you can feel the sensations and the emotion that's present in whatever you're experiencing. See if you can accept that for now and breathe into it. Open up and let yourself feel your feelings fully in this moment. Whatever you're feeling is coming up in this moment for healing. So breathing belly to chest, focusing on the issue and then feeling your body. Where is this in your body that you're holding this? That's the way. Breathing in and letting go, nice and gently, just being present with what is. We're not trying to get anywhere or make anything happen. The goal is to connect to what's present. And if you feel very little, maybe you feel a little numb, a little empty, a little blank, a little frozen. Just breathe into that and see if you can feel that more fully. That's the way. Breathing in, belly, chest, expanding and letting go. That's the way. And notice, maybe the sensations in your body have shifted to another part of your body. Maybe the emotion is the same, or it's got more intense or less intense or changed. Breathing into your belly and up to your heart. If you think that you might have lost it, lost the feeling, just bring the issue to mind again and see what happens. If you bring it to mind and you're feeling calm or peaceful, you probably popped through already. to your heart state. If it's still there or there's another feeling, there's another layer to feel. So just breathing into that, whatever's here, see if you can feel it fully and allow it to be here, connecting your breath gently, not in a hurry, no pushing, just allowing, let yourself be here and feel and open up. And if some tears come, just let the tears come, no problem. Whatever's coming up is coming up for a healing because you're ready to feel this and heal it. That's the way. Breathing in and letting go. And as you connect to the emotion, let the emotion take you back in time to a previous time when you felt this same feeling. It could be last year, 5 years ago, all the way back to your childhood. And it's possible there's no regression also. There's just a feeling in the present. And if that's the case, it's totally okay too. You don't have to have a memory recall, but just give it a moment. Breathe into your body, up to your chest, expanding and letting go. Feeling the emotion, and let the emotion take you back in time to a previous time when you felt this feeling. That's the way. Belly, chest, expanding and letting go. And as I said, if there's no aggression, just stay with the feeling that's present in your body. And if you do have a memory recall happening, be aware that you're an adult remembering this previous state. If it's a childhood recall, then in this moment, there is the presence of a loving adult, which is you, with this child recall, which is probably what was really required at that time. So breathing in there as the loving parent and letting go. That's the way. Breathing in, belly, chest, being present with the experience that's rising in this moment and letting go. Trusting in the process of healing that happens naturally and organically when we let ourselves feel. Taking a breath into your belly, up to your chest, and checking into your body again. What's happening now in your body? Might take a couple of breaths to feel that. Where is the dominant sensation now? And what qualities can you feel? Heavy, light, tight, loose, sharp, dull? Breathing in, opening up, and letting go. Maybe you're feeling some warmth, some sense of expansion, some sense of love, peace, or gratitude. If you're feeling something like that, then you've shifted past the emotional layer into your heart space. And I would continue to breathe into that experience. Breathing into your belly, up to your chest, letting yourself feel fully, opening your heart, coming home inside to the truth of who you are, which is peace, love, happiness, wholeness, and perfection. Breathing in, belly, chest, expanding, and letting go. Let your awareness expand now through the whole of your body. See if you can feel a gentle, soft hum or a buzz or energy flowing through your body. We're moving into the heart state now. And in this heart state, we get to connect to the intelligence that's in our heart. And we can address this issue, this situation in your life from a heart intelligence perspective by realizing that this situation is calling you to grow. It's calling you to develop a heart quality. And we're going to put this into a little intention, which goes in the form, I consent to living in the heart quality and practicing the heart practice. So I want you right now to breathe into your belly and up to your heart and tune into your heart intelligence. Your heart is intelligent and you can use it for guidance, and see if you can feel which of the heart qualities you're being called to develop here. If it's more ease, less push, less struggle, then I consent to living in the presence of ease and practicing effortless flow. If the heart quality you're being called to develop is happiness, I consent to living in the presence of happiness and practicing savoring the moment. If it's peace, I consent to living in the presence of peace and practicing acceptance. If it's love, I consent to living in the presence of love and practicing compassion. If it's connection, consent to living in the presence of connection and practicing presence or openness. Maybe you're being called to develop gentleness here and practicing mercy and forgiveness, kindness. Maybe it's a sense of spaciousness, of opening to the mystery of life. I consent to living in the presence of spaciousness and practicing mystery. Maybe you're being called to cultivate some sense of greater abundance and practicing generosity. Or maybe this situation's calling you to stand in courage and practice keeping your heart open in discomfort and welcoming life in. Maybe it's an opportunity to develop more gratitude and practice praise and appreciation. Or possibly to develop enthusiasm by listening to and following your heart. Just trusting the heart quality that's calling to you in this moment. Breathing into your belly and up to your heart. And maybe there was a heart quality I didn't say, and that's totally okay also. And see if you can just stay with that little intention like a mantra as you're breathing for a moment. You might like to remember a previous time when you felt this heart quality. Previous time when you felt peace or love or courage or gratitude or happiness. And breathe belly to chest, cultivating this heart quality that you're being called to develop here at this point in your life. Beautiful. And if you were to take one step forward in your life from this heart quality, what would that be? Something that you could do this week. Breathing into your belly and up to your heart and letting go. Listening to your heart. If you listened to and followed your heart in response to this situation, what would be your next step? Awesome. Taking another breath into your belly and up to your chest, and begin to gently bring yourself back into the present moment again. Take a nice deep breath down to your hands and feet, fingers and toes, bringing yourself back into the present moment. Nice deep breath in, and be aware of the chair that you're sitting in, the room that you're in, the sound of my voice outside of you, and gently bring yourself back into the present moment. When you're ready, you can let your eyes open, have a bit of a stretch, coming back with this heart connection. And I'd love to hear your experience in the chat. What was the heart quality? How are you feeling now? Maybe you had a big insight. Maybe you remembered something that made it all make sense. Susie had, I consent to living in the presence of enthusiasm and practicing following my heart. Beautiful. Maybe you went so deep that it's hard to remember what happened. That's okay, because if you came back, that means you weren't asleep. You were just following along at a deep level beyond memory recall. And if that's you, just take a breath in your body and check in how you're feeling now and let me know that. Amy's got love and compassion. Wow. What a shift from deep throb of anger in the base of my chest. That's a beautiful shift, Amy. Well done. That's awesome. Very, very beautiful. So that's, I consent to living in the presence of love and practicing compassion. Beautiful. Vivian's got onto it. I consent to living in the presence of courage and practicing welcoming in. Beautiful. Paula thinks she fell asleep, but Paula, if you came back when I said come back, then you weren't actually asleep. And let me know, Paula, take a breath in your body. What's the feeling that you've got now? Let me know how you're feeling now, because there's a level of peace. I'd go for peace. Peace is a highly underrated heart state. Most of us are looking for the big bang, especially around breath work. But in peace, everything functions at its peak. Your body heals at an accelerated rate. You get on in life with everybody. You work effectively. You don't get tired. The world looks beautiful. Peace is a fabulous quality. So good on you. Lara, consent to live in the presence of compassion and embody gentleness and grace. Fantastic. Beautiful. So, you might want to write that down, because that's a lovely little intention to walk around with tonight and tomorrow. Jeffrey, peace to acceptance with sensations, several light leg muscle spasms. So the legs often are about like wanting to get going, I want to get going. I want to move forward, something like that. The legs carry us around. So if you've got energy in your legs, there's a chance, Jeffrey, that you want to kind of get going. Or spasms, if it's cramping, maybe you're kind of like holding yourself back from getting going or locked up around that. You'll have to answer that for yourself. Susie, action step I can take this week is to book our trip to Arizona. Fantastic. Who are you going with? Just kidding. Daisy, gentleness and forgiveness. Beautiful. Mary, peace and acceptance. Wonderful. Yes. Vivian, linked to a childhood experience. That's really, sometimes just realizing that is like, from the adult state, realizing that child state is the healing. It's quite magical, because it's a quality of presence that heals. Beautiful. That's really, really fabulous. So it looks like everybody had a good time. So that's delightful. So let me talk a bit about the breathwork coaching, the program. There's basically 3 pillars in the program. And what I know from being an empath myself and working with empaths over the years is the 3 challenges we face is that we get tired and burnt out, usually from overcaring. We actually get stagnant and unfulfilled because we constantly want to learn and grow and develop to new levels. And often we're working hard, but we're not quite getting the results that we want to get for mostly the previous 2 reasons. And maybe we don't quite have all the handles in building a thriving business. And so it's really important for being a breathwork coach that we get all these three things in place. And the first one is to be at your best, that we need to fill up our own cup to overflow so that we feel like we've got lots of energy to give to our clients. We need to learn the skills to facilitate change and breakthroughs, and we need to learn how to create a thriving business. And those are really the 3 pillars in the Core Clearing Breathwork Coach training. So the first one, and I'm just going to briefly go through these, is being at your best, to shift from tired and drained and overwhelmed to inspired and excited and energized. And so there's 3 pillars, there's 3 steps in each of these 3 pillars. And the first one is we use the breathwork for ourselves, and then we bring it to our clients as well. So briefly, breathwork is an ancient technique that goes back before the yogis, pranayama, breath play there. But in modern times, Leonard Orr founded rebirthing breathwork, and Sandra Ray took breathwork around the world with her loving relationships training in the mid-80s. And she was like the 8th person to get breath worked by Leonard. And so Leonard passed on a couple of years ago, and Sandra is still out in the world making a difference. And she came here to our retreat center, which was lots of fun. And so they started the whole rebirthing breathwork movement, which is closest probably to what we do, even though we've evolved in a different direction to that. The other on a different spoke of the wheel is Constantine Brutako, and you might have heard of Brutako breathing, often associated with asthmatics. And Brutako was really the guy that brought onto the scene the importance of carbon dioxide as essential for good health. He was a Russian scientist, and he found that people tend to actually overbreathe, lower the level of carbon dioxide, and then that causes a whole lot of health conditions. And so Wim Hof has kind of brought the deep, expansive breathing and the breath holding together. When the breath holding obviously raises the carbon dioxide and deposits that oxygen into your organs and muscles. And with this practice of intermittent hypoxia, it's called, is able to do extraordinary feats. And we're very grateful for Wim Hof because he's made breathwork famous around the world. And now everybody is doing breathwork for peak performance, which is fabulous. And then there's Susie and Nicholas de Castella, and people often ask me, what kind of breathing do you guys do? And I like to think we do heart-centered breath work, and that is characterized by what you just experienced. It's gentle, it's flowing, it's based on presence, and it's about a 4/4 tempo. So it's not kind of pumping the breath, and it's not breath holding. It's getting into that flow state where we can activate that basic goodness for healing and transformation in our life. The second step in the first pillar is to activate the flow state. And we have a lot of experience, over 20 years experience of working with what's known as now as heart coherence. And that's all about getting your heart rate variability into a flow state in which you perform at your peak. And so we've done a lot of research around this and practice using a lot of technology that was developed by the Institute of Heart Math in America. And it's associated with peak performance, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And so our heart-centered breathwork meditation, which you might have practiced, is all about raising that heart coherence. And then the third pillar in being at your best is creating a balanced and sustainable life. And that's really about mastering all 8 areas of life: happiness, vitality. This is Mel and Andrew McCauley, the personal trainers that do extraordinary feats in Queensland. Alison here manifested a trip to Paris with very little money. Trevor and Sue here have a loving relationship that was on the rocks about 20 years ago. Sue manifested this car in wealth, and Ron Penrose is being featured on Australian Story, went from struggling sheep farmer to an Australian Story artist, Archibald contest, living the life of his dreams. And Marlon's normally on these sessions is a personal trainer and a remedial masseur specializing in pain relief, now doing more breathwork, core clearing sessions than massages to help people to identify and clear the pain out of their body in miraculous ways. And Jim and Jean Thomas, dear friends of ours that are getting an internationally award recognized program in New Guinea to save the tree kangaroos. They rub shoulders with David Attenborough and Jane Goodall and stuff like that. So they are absolute legends, and they've they've developed these programs in the field in New Guinea, connecting with the local people through the heart intelligence that they've learned through the breath work and all of our work. So they're out there making a big difference. And then the third pillar in this is, the second pillar then is learning the breakthrough breathwork skills. And so that's about shifting from stagnant and bored to confident, inspired, excited, and fulfilled, learning to facilitate those breakthroughs gently and easily. Now, I started doing breathwork in the 80s. And when I started, it was pump the breath, and it was push it out and go for the big bang. And breathwork stopped working for me because my body armored against it, and I couldn't get anywhere. And it wasn't until I started to relax and learn to center in my heart and surrender to the moment that I actually started to go deeper and continue to have unfolding shifts. So when it comes to facilitating healing for others using core clearing breathwork, our main focus for the practitioner is on the quality of our presence or the quality of our love. And it's the quality of presence that determines the ease and rate of healing, because presence, how present we are in our body, how open our heart is, creates a field of love that's the catalyst for the transformation to happen in. So presence activates a natural tendency to health and peace and happiness and wholeness. And so when we're training practitioners, we're constantly getting them to breathe into their heart, do their own healing work so that they can be a clearer channel for love, so that their presence can be intensified. And we do that by healing our own wounds first. And that's why the core clearing training has got 50% of the time doing your own process work. And you grow and you learn how to connect to your feelings, and then you can help people to connect to theirs, because you can't take anyone deeper into their emotions than you've gone yourself, okay? Because it's about letting go of control. So the second aspect of the practitioner skills in the core clearing training is going to the core issues, to be going deep down through the layers that we went through, the mind to the body to the emotions, and then connecting in the heart. So what we want to do is identify and clear those subconscious patterns, which is usually linked to trauma, that creates the results in our life that we touched into in this session. And then, as we know, we connect to the heart intelligence. So one of the beautiful things about core clearing is we're not giving people answers. We are helping them to find their own answers inside. So they go inside and connect to their heart for guidance. And that's very, very empowering for them. And so this little poster is up all over our house, and it's what we aspire to live to. The third pillar in the coaching program is to shift from working hard to enjoying the freedom lifestyle. And so there's 3 steps in that. And the first one is you need to be able to attract and enroll clients, right? So you need to generate leads, know how to take people through an enrollment session, and then deliver what we call a high ticket item, a 10-session program, and then build your business with referrals, so to create raving fans. So the second piece in this, so the first piece is to attract and convert clients. The second piece is to deliver what we call this high ticket program. So the coaching course comes with a 10-session program that you can take your clients through. And so instead of doing one-off sessions for, say, an hour, $100 to $200 an hour, you take your clients through a 10-session program for $900 to $2,000 for the whole program. And so that's a real game changer that makes this a way of living, not just a hobby that you do on the side. By setting up a program, you also give your clients the potential transformation that's available to them. If they just come in for one session, they have a good shift, but actually probably not going to change their life. But if you do 10 sessions with a client, it's going to change their life. It definitely will. And then the third step in business building is learning how to work with groups. And we've got now the Core Clearing Breathwork coaches delivering to community centers, to delivering online, to setting up programs, to take people through the 10-session Tune Up Your Life program that I just talked about, and deliver that same program to groups, and to deliver some meditation, breathing meditations and practices as well. And that's another game changer that leverages your time and your energy and allows you to make a bigger impact in the world by working with more people at the same time. And it makes it more available to everybody, because they can, you don't need to charge as much for a group session as you would for a one-on-one session. So that's a great way to grow. So when you put all that together, it looks a bit like this, and you might have seen this from an email that I've sent you, that these are 3 pillars and 3 steps in each one, 9 steps altogether. So This is for you if you'd like to facilitate profound shifts quickly and gently. If you're looking for passion in your life, in being of service, to live your purpose, you want to create an online income stream. This is a simple, boiled down process that anybody can do. And when I take people through the training, everyone goes, yep, because I'm good at breaking things down, very simple, because I'm quite simple myself. And we package it up so that it's a whole business in a box. Everything is covered. It's all put together for you in a manual and a handbook. And there's everything that you need. I'm going to come back to that in a second. So you can work your own hours online from anywhere in the world, create raving fans in a heart-centered community, and become a thriving transformational leader, and build yourself a heart-based business. And in the process, help birth the awakening of the new humanity that I mentioned at the start. So included in the training is the Breathwork Script. Now, the process I took you through tonight is all mapped out layer by layer, word by word, and lots of people read the script with an open, present heart, and their clients have a breakthrough. So it's really, really easy to get up and running with this. You don't have to study for 10 years to do it. People start doing sessions with their family and their friends and their kids the day after the training, or the night after the training in some cases. So it's really great to have the script to get you confident to start doing sessions straight away. Get the 10-session program that I mentioned, Tune Up Your Life, group work sessions. That's developing and evolving, and this whole program is pretty new, really. And so we're building out that group part of the program right now. You get all the business and marketing and sales bits and pieces that you need. And by the way, you don't have to be a marketing expert or a sales expert. You need to be yourself. And, I'm just a regular Joe. And if you've had a chat to me, we have great chats, and I have a lot of fun doing that. And so when you're enrolling clients, you don't have to be, I don't know who you'd be, Anthony Robbins or Brian Tracy or somebody like that. You just need to be yourself and connect with people. And we give you the script that makes that really, really easy. So you get that. There's Facebook ads that are already done for you as templates, and the script of what to post in your Facebook feed is all done for you. It's all packaged up. There's a Dropbox file that's got everything in it. You get lots of practice sessions so that you get experience and confidence in working with people and going through the script. Comes with the full manual and also a coaching handbook with the Tune Up Your Life program all mapped out in every session, what to do before the session and after the session. All the emails are already written for you, so you just copy them and paste them and send them off to your clients, and it's all done. All of the coaching sessions are recorded, and they're all available to review whenever you want to. And the whole program is IICT insurance approved, which is the International Institute for Complementary Therapies, which means you can get professional indemnity insurance as a student when you start doing the course, and it's less than $80 to get that as a student, and then I think it's about $180 once you graduate. So that's really available and affordable, and a great thing that we've worked fairly hard to get that approval, and really excited about that. So the format for the training is in 2 parts. The first part is coming up the 18th of May, it starts, and that's a 10-evening webinar session where we go through that 10-session program like Tune Up Your Life. And I'll unpack different parts of the core clearing as we go through that process, so you get a deep understanding of how it all hangs together. And then the second part of the training is 2 days coaching skills training, and that's Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on August the 6th and 7th. And then as well as that, there's 4 follow-on swap breathwork sessions on the following 4 Wednesdays after that. So that's the 2 components in the training. As soon as you enroll, we have a jumpstart training program, which is really simple and easy, and will get you into the rhythm of living from your heart. and with the Keys to Emotional Mastery book, the Head to Heart audio training, and the Heart-Centered Breathwork meditations. So the full price for the training, the value of this professional training is just under $4,000. And, you know, this is a career opportunity. We have people all around the world doing this now. We have Maketa in Prague, in Czechoslovakia. She was a lawyer last December. Now she's a full-time breathwork practitioner. She just put a little 8-page ebook out on anxiety and did a Facebook ad, got 300 downloads. And so her list is now 300, and she's up and running as a practitioner and super, super inspired and just a beautiful soul. So, you know, this is a fabulous, real career lifestyle opportunity. We've been running this program, as Lara mentioned at the start, at basically at half price because of the COVID lockdown and because this is new and we're building it and expanding it. And so for people who are on this session, you can lock in the deal of $1,970 that we've been running for a while now, and we're in the throes of putting the price up to $2,470. But I reckon if you've turned up in the session and showed up, then you deserve to get this opportunity to lock that in. You can pay for this training in monthly installments if that works better for you. And if you think about it, you could pay for the whole training with 2 clients doing the 10-session program at $1,000 each. And that's very, very doable. So it's a great opportunity. When you sign up, you get the full You Can Change Your Life 10-session program in this, and a core clearing breathwork meditation that you can put on for yourself whenever you want to take yourself through a core clearing session, and 5 times 1-minute breathwork meditations like what we practice at the start with the 1-minute session. And just to, if you're sitting on the fence and not sure if you're ready to jump in, but you're keen, because you showed up and stayed to now in the session, you can lock in a wildcard session with one-on-one session with me whenever you feel stuck or blocked and you want to have a breakthrough. And then you could do that tomorrow, next week, no, probably not tomorrow, but next week if you want to, or you could just hang it up your sleeve and pull it out when you need to use it. And you can lock that in with a $200 deposit tonight. Or if you want to book in and just commit fully and lock in the $1,970 price there. So Susie's just put those links into the feed there. And if you are super keen, but you want to have a one-on-one chat with me, then there's also a link there to book a call with me, just a bit of a casual chat and an opportunity for you to ask any questions or maybe talk about anything specific that you've got. I love to connect with people, I like to get to know you, who you are, where you're at, what you're looking for, and how I can best support you in living your best life. A couple of common questions that we get is all the sessions are presented online and they're all presented live. There's no recordings in this. It's me presenting all the sessions live. And so there's a real current and energy flow as a group that we build up together. All the sessions are recorded and the recordings are always available. If you're paying by installments, the installments go from the month that you pay, the day that you pay on. So if you pay today, it's the 5th of May. So it'll be, the next one will be the 5th of June. This is level 1. And it's whole and complete in itself, everything you need to get your business going. But if you want to go further, then we have level 2 as well, where we do the lying down on the floor, dynamic breathing exercises, and we focus on healing trauma in that. And if you do decide to go on and do level 2, then you get level 1 fees taken off the price. So if you're interested in that, then you can contact me and we can have a chat. My only warning to you is don't waste your life living half a life. You know, you're here on earth to share your gifts. You're not here by accident. It's time now for you to step up and live your soul's purpose and give your best gifts to the earth. There are so many people that are suffering from massive levels of anxiety and depression and stress and all kinds of situations in life where they just don't understand about how their emotions are affecting their life, their relationships. And you can come in there and make a huge difference with the breathwork and the emotional intelligence skills that we teach, and really make a big difference and find fulfillment and meaning in your life. You know, I'm 61 and I'm not old, I'm still young, but I am aware that time is passing by, and I'm going to a couple of funerals of people around my age, and I'm thinking, wow, it's amazing how time rolls on. And I just went to a ceremony, a death ceremony for Robert Webb, who did his first workshop with us when he was 63, and I think he died last year. I think he was 85. So we went along. I went and saw Robert, and I want to die like he died. He had an amazing level of acceptance and peace with this is his time, and he was ready to go. And I'm not ready to go. And hopefully you're not too. I just want to remind you that this is it. This is your life. Make the most of it. Don't mess around. Don't stay on the edge. Jump in and give your gifts. And here's an opportunity. It's all packaged up. You can do this. We're here. We are rock solid. We have lots of people in our community that have been hanging around for 20 years and giving to us. And there's no better time than now for breath work to be given to humanity. And, you know, breath work is the flavor of the month in personal growth now. So you can get on the front edge of that wave that's coming through and really get out there and make a big difference. People are looking for breath work all the time now. And no doubt that includes you who found this and us. This is Marlon, a little feedback that he wrote. And I mentioned him before as a personal trainer and a remedial masseur. He uses the Core Clearing Breathwork to do incredible things. I don't have time to go into it now, but people limp into his rooms and then walk out again. You know, it's the kind of stuff that gets you crucified if you're not careful. This is Annabelle, who's a naturopath, and she's come and done the breath work to add another level of work so that she can work more deeply and holistically with her clients. She lives in Ballarat. This is Mel and Andrew that I showed you before. She's a personal trainer, and she's done the breathwork training to add this extra income stream. She helps the clients to break through their emotional barriers, feel more energized. She's found that they hang around longer in her business because they keep on growing. When they get stuck, she can help them to break through and go to the next level. She's found that more clients are contacting her for the Core Clearing Breathwork sessions, and she can use this breathwork during her quieter hours, which is usually in the middle of the day for personal trainers. And so she's got this point of difference for personal trainers that's not common. This is Kate Candell, who's another personal trainer. She specializes in good health and weight loss, and she's helping women particularly to really get into great shape and enjoy their life fully. So I think we've covered all the bases, and thank you for your presence. Again, if you want to step up and throw your hat over the fence, we'd love to have you with us for the next training. Yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere. And we're here for the long haul. You've got this beautiful heart-centered community. I feel truly blessed by people like Jeffrey and Mary that are here on the session, that they've just come on to tune up and check in and support Susan and I in the work and be present. So we have so many beautiful people in our life that it's a fringe benefit from teaching heart-centered living. And so a special thank you to Susie for being the backstop in the session tonight and in my life. And if you want to book a discovery session, then that link is in the chat as well. So that's pretty much me. I'm just going to pause the recording here, and if anyone's got any questions, then you can ask them there.